you are probably one of the people that is what I call a unicorn lawyer, because you are a hybrid between a litigator, you have $1 billion of verdicts and settlements in your name, but also you are an operator. You have built so many offices around the country, and you have picked amazing talent, and it's running like a well-oiled machine. I think a lot of lawyers that I deal with, being that I'm in the financial industry, is that I see that lawyers typically struggle with business decisions, right? It's like their brain is focused on trying the case, they're litigators, and then the business aspect takes a second seat. And then we see volatility in the cash flow, in their performance, in the legacy of the firm. And so what I find incredibly valuable with you and what you've done, and this is putting the focus on you now, on Keith Givens, is that you somehow know how to build infrastructure. And it's like clockwork. You have a system. So tell me about that, and what do you think about the business of law, and how do you tackle that from your position?
Well, I'm amazed that your perception is everything so smooth. Let me dispel that, okay? It's
don't.
No. There are times it's chaotic. And it's by nature. It's by nature.
It looks effortless from the outside.
Oh,
so
okay.
You do a great job managing the crisis.
Well, that's good. I don't know. It's. I don't know if that's the smoke and mirrors part of the equation or not, but here are my thoughts.
Okay.
What
it was a big question.
I know it was a big question.
Big question.
No, I like the big question, and we're at a conference that's a 16-hour presentation, so I'm going to limit my comments to 16 hours. I'm just saying, but then with that I'll start off. Yeah, so I hope you have a lot of tape in your machine.
There's no
a lot
tape.
of digital
it's cloud.
tape. Okay, it's so that hopefully the cloud will not get full and rain on us as I talk. Now I'll try to skinny it down a little bit.
Yeah.
And a lot of it, from my standpoint, was it evolved. I didn't necessarily start out with a grand plan at all, and I'm not the best architect at all, because I did have the benefit of some significant, I guess, good fortune, early. And there's an evolution, even in my practice and in my professional life. I started out like every other trial lawyer. I mean, you try to get a meritorious case.
Yeah.
You try to present it in the absolute most competent way you can, with the proper level of compassion and client focus that you can muster. I mean, you've got these layers of a profession, and if you're able to do very, very good for your client, then our system rewards that with the lawyers doing well. And if you reapply that into the same machinery and adding the pieces, and over time, when I started out in private practice doing tort work, it was myself, one other lawyer, Sam Cherry, who's still a partner this very day, after 39 years together, and we shared one secretary who was also the receptionist.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of how it
evolved.
Starts out.
Yeah.
I mean, so it starts out that simple.
Yeah.
But we were both business majors, so I was an undergraduate business major, so I knew the language to be able to discuss risk. And this is the tort work is a very high risk business, and it has washed so many people out, because there's high gain, you can argue, but if you are all in on something and that something does not pan out, then you are washed up, finished, bankrupt. We've had a lot of members commit suicide, change their line of work, retire early. I mean, it's a horrible casualties on our profession, and it takes an unusual personality to be a trial lawyer.
Yeah.
You can't be averse to you have to hate losing. Don't get me wrong. You hate it with a passion, but you can't be so afraid of it that you stay out of the courtroom.
Right.
And our industry from a business standpoint is in my opinion, and all across the legal landscape, is the most difficult. It will take the most out of you. It is gut wrenching. It is high risk financially and from a business standpoint, but also from a personal standpoint of what it takes out of you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as any other business principle, there's a curve.
Yeah.
The higher the risk,
Mm-hmm.
calculated risk, the higher the gain.
Yeah.
So you see a lot of success.
Yeah.
With plaintiff trial lawyers, and that's just those are business principles, established business principles as that reason.
Yeah.
But you have to be very, very good at evaluating what the risks are. You never risk more than you can afford to lose.
Right.
And in the early days, I could afford to. Because I had nothing, I could afford to risk everything all the time.
Yeah.
And I did. And fortunately, and sometimes it's just circumstance.
Yeah.
Just good fortune, circumstance, or that when you're applying, talent and resources to a project, that it turns out well.
Yeah.
And at any given time, there've been a couple of projects in the early days. Had they not gone well, I was done. I mean, I was out just like everybody else. But when you make it, also from a business standpoint, once you become, you never become bulletproof and invincible, because there's always a project that will and can wash you up on the shore. I don't care how great you are. Or think you are, or because we know members of our profession who have been at the very top of what we do, but for business reasons
have fallen from grace.
Yeah, when it's not, and it's maybe just not only fallen from grace, they have financially collapsed.
Yeah.
And so you have to be mindful of that. And then as you get better at making decisions from a business standpoint, and as you get robust, you have to. It requires, and this is one thing that I probably do not like about what we do. It's hard for somebody to hang a shingle and come out of law school. I mean, we have to be concerned with training young lawyers doing what we do. Because if you look around, I don't know how many people you've interviewed, but how many people under the age of 60 have you interviewed? I mean, they're rare, and that's a big gap.
Yeah. I see a lot incredible potential. And I think that part of the reason, I'm interviewing the whys of the industry is so that this is sort of my contribution to the industry is to educate the younger attorneys that are looking for true, real content from a person that's willing to share their failures and their successes and be real about it. It's not a marketing gig. This is real life, and it impacts people. So the fact that you have a handle on that, you're truthful and honest about the highs and the lows is, I think, important to translate to a young lawyer coming in. They need to know what they're getting into.